Hey, welcome to your day off. My name is Corey, and well, actually, I'm not sitting with my best bud Tony because Tony couldn't make it today. But so we're sitting at BarberCon in Brooklyn, New York, and everything's it's looking pretty dope here. We do have a super special guest co-host. So today we're Maddie Conrad. What's up, Maddie?
Hey, bud. How you doing?
Good, man.
Hey, thanks for having me on, man. I'm excited to be here.
Dude, I'm just so stoked that you were able to do this. Because when you come to these events, you don't really you don't have downtime.
No. So it's nice. We got this nice little room back here where we can just have a nice chat. And I mean, honestly, I just love connecting with barbers. I love connecting with other people. I had such a great time on the podcast with you guys. You couldn't keep me away from this thing when you offered me this today. So.
Bro, that you know how excited that makes me? That's pretty cool. So we are at BarberCon. We are in a back room, so there will be some noise. It's kind of a staging area, so there'll be staging noises going on. So if you hear doors slam or people fart or something when they walk by, that's what happens in these back rooms.
Yeah, we're blaming it on the people walking by.
That's right. So we're sitting with a barber today who, once you meet this dude, you can't take your eyes off of him.
Yeah, he's a captivating character, isn't he?
There's no doubt about it. So I actually reached out to him about coming on the podcast, and I think we were both pretty excited about doing it. So today we're talking to Harry Houdini from Babyliss, and he's got the greatest hats we got two pretty rad hats. Easy. Watch it.
I'm a fan.
Good. Different types of hats.
So, Mr. Harry, man, welcome to your day off.
Thank you so much. I'm really honored to be here, and I'm excited to do this podcast.
Than's, man.
Yeah,
Thanks.
man.
We appreciate it. We appreciate you making the time for us here.
Yeah,
Do you live here in New York?
I do live in New York. I live in Long Island, New York. I'm over by the water. I'm about 40 minutes from this location right here in Brooklyn.
Oh, awesome.
Are you like a native Long Islander? Because I'm picking up the accent. So
no,
is that
believe it or
developed?
not, I've been here for about 10 years, but I'm right over here. I was born in Brooklyn, New York, right here in Williamsburg. So we're really close to my old stomping ground for where I grew up and I was born. So.
Oh, that's right. So you were actually born here in
I was born in Brooklyn.
Cool.
Yeah.
Home turf, man.
Home turf.
Hometown hero.
I come out here, I start getting old memories. How old days.
How does that feel when you're coming to something like BarberCon? I mean, now you're a recognizable name in the industry, a recognizable artist, and how does that feel coming to your whole stomping grounds, your hometown?
It's a great feeling. It's a great feeling to be coming into an event like this. I love these types of events. I eat, live, and breathe this stuff. This is where I became recognized. Coming to these events and making friends and just collaborating with people. It's really I owe a lot of these type of events to my success, definitely.
That's awesome, man.
That's pretty cool.
I find a lot of people think that, especially if you're educating, that it's hard to go home. It's hard to educate where you started because a lot of people maintain in this industry that just to be an expert, sometimes you just need to be from far away.
Yeah.
So how is it grinding out in your own neighborhood, like building your own notoriety in your own community?
I think there's a level of respect as far as when I teach with passion. I teach with credibility. I kind of I don't pretend like I'm better than everyone else.
Right.
There's been a lot of struggles I've been with or been through, and I think it comes across that I'm one of you guys.
Right.
I'm not trying to be somebody who I'm not, and I do understand and I feel that there's a difference as far as when I travel into other countries. As opposed to when I'm in the United States, there's just more love out there. But I think it's just there's a difference, in that aspect that there's a foreigner coming to see us as opposed to a native. So it's
sometimes. I know that we and Tony, if he was here, he would agree with me. I hope. But sometimes the people that are closest to you are the hardest to reach. Right, it's easier to kind of reach the community as opposed to the individual people that are literally closest to you that you worked with or whatever. At least that's been our experience with it.
On behalf of Tony, I feel like I'm fitting in for Tony today. I agree with you.
Yeah, touche. So, Harry, how did you get into the industry? How did it find you?
So the industry found me, and I actually went away to college, and while I was at college, there weren't any barbers in the location. So I thought of this idea. I said, you know what? Why don't I buy a pair of clippers and start cutting my own hair, and I can help cut other people's hair.
Did you use the Walmart dog clippers?
You know what? I went pretty. I would say I went high end right off the bat because that's the type of person I am. I'm like, you know what? I don't want low quality. I don't want mid grade. I'm gonna go for the most expensive one, and so that's what I did. And I was getting pretty good results. And then when I started getting paid from it, I'm like, what? I can make money from this, and so it really piqued my interest, and I started doing a lot of I started doing a lot of hair, I was only getting paid like $5 for it. But, you know, I was like...
This is in college. Like,
this is in
like
college,
dorm room haircuts.
Yeah, dorm room haircuts. And I started to notice that people really wanted to keep coming to me, you know, before they went out and stuff like that. And I was like, you know what? Wow, this is really rewarding that I can get paid for something I really, really enjoy. Now, I went to school for criminal justice, and you know, I decided to buy a motorcycle, which I think was like the worst thing. You know, it's like I call them the cop magnets, because that's all I ever got was, you know, pulled over by cops. And you know, I started getting a feel of the criminal justice system, and I was like, man, I really don't think I want to do this. You know, so I decided, you know what, let me give cutting hair, you know, a try. And I enrolled into a barber school in the Village in Manhattan, and you know, here we are now.
That's great. How long ago was that?
This was about 13 years ago.
Oh wow, so you've been in the industry for a minute then.
Yeah. I've been in the mix for a little while.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a really rewarding industry. I'll be honest with you, definitely.
So tell me, like, early on, when you first started out, how was that transitioning away from, you know, just doing haircuts to going through? Did you go through barber school after that?
I did. Yeah, I went through a 7-month program. I know it was a 4-month program.
Yeah,
I went full time. Yep.
One of the things I find is it's interesting because there's two channels that seems to get to barbering these days. Is one, a person comes by it very honestly, organically, like yourself. You just started out, and you know you got the experience in your hands. You know, I mean, all the knowledge lived in your hands, and then you go to school and you get all that knowledge in your head. And some people that start by doing it that way can become very adept very quickly. You know, I mean, and those people I find turn into great teachers. Other people go through and they start with school, and then they need a long period of experience to get that knowledge out of their head and into their hands. Did you find that was like a big help to you starting out that way? Like, would you recommend that to people?
Well, you know, there's different types of learners. I've learned that as becoming an educator. I'm the type of learner that I kind of need that hands-on. I need to have the tool in my hand. I need to experience the feel of it. But you know, I think some of it has to do with my, believe it or not, is my background. I didn't know this, but in 2007, I found out that my grandfather was a barber, and then my sister was a hairstylist. So it's in my grandmother's a portrait artist.
Right. So
it's kind of, I feel like it's in there. And picking up the clipper, it kind of, that's what really kind of, I found my talent pretty much. Yeah. But getting back to your question, I'm not sure if I answered it correctly, but I think that finding if you could even give me back that question again.
Sure. I think
I lost it.
Do you see a benefit having started off on your own, like learning by doing things and experience? Did you find that being a challenge going into hair school and trying to get that knowledge in your head outside your hands, or do you think that that's a benefit to start that way because of the experience that you had?
That's a tricky one, only because of the fact that I feel that the barber school that I went to really didn't give me the fundamentals that I really needed,
right.
You know, and I feel like that I got that pretty much living and learning, you know, making the mistakes and learning from those mistakes. I feel like they just kind of, you know, the school that I went to is no longer in business anymore, but I feel that they were just trying to get me to get that apprentice license, right, basically, and get me out of there. You know, there wasn't really any like, hey, listen, you need to learn this.
Yeah.
So in the hairstylist space or the hairdresser space, like, you know, normally you go to school for a couple of years, and then most people go to like into almost like it's not really an apprenticeship, but you know, some kind of like assisting thing for a couple of years to kind of like really get. Is barbering the same way? Like, do you get out of barber school and then well, what was your experience? Did you go right onto like a floor someplace working at a barber, or did you like work under somebody or?
No, that's it. The first thing I did, I got my I graduated from the barber school. It was called Atlas Barber School, and I immediately started working at Joey's Barbershop. You know, Joey's Barbershop was a brand new barbershop. It was located in Staten Island, New York, and it was you know, with every new business, it's pretty much there's a struggle there.
Yeah.
You know, for walk-ins, you know, it's just a brand new establishment, and it was tough because the owner, all he did was criticize me. He didn't want to help me and show me what I was doing wrong. So, you know, I'm fresh out of school, and this is a craft. It takes a long time to really become good at it.
Yeah.
You know, so it was really, you know, at one point I thought, you know, maybe this is not the career for me. Maybe I should do something else.
Isn't it interesting, like, again, on the podcast, I think we've done like 130 episodes or something. That is so common.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's so common. Like even like the biggest surprise was when we interviewed Philip Wolf, and he was like, I was this close to quitting. You know, and I'm like, what? You know, like I just, you never, it's just amazing to me, I guess, that our industries, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a very similar experience. I mean, there was one point
You were
where
ready to tap out?
Yeah, I just kind of lost my love for it, and I just didn't seem like all the things I had thought that it would be in my head were really coming to fruition, how I saw things rolling out, or how I saw the industry even, and just disappointment after disappointment. And I've seen a lot of really talented people that have gone on to great stuff in this industry that were taken out by being in the wrong situation at the start.
And that just sounds like Harry was. You're just in
Yeah.
the wrong situation at the start.
That's really what
How,
it was.
what happened then? Like, how did you move on from that?
So, man, so I said, this guy is really, maybe this is just not the right place for me, and I said, let me give it another shot somewhere else. And I found a barbershop that was, the caliber level was really good. Not only did they, do good work, but they also were helpful. And they said, look, try this. Maybe you're using the wrong clipper. Use this one. It's going to make your life a lot easier. And those little tips and tricks really helped, raise the bar and accelerated me a lot faster, as opposed to if I would have stood where I was and stayed with that owner.
You probably wouldn't be it, right?
Yeah. So I mean, what it sounds like you found was like mentorship, really more. And I've always thought that that's one of the most valuable things you can find in this industry. But is there anybody in particular, or is it a collective effort by that shop? Is there somebody that really took you aside and really inspired you to grow in your art?
So there was one barber in particular. He was very, very fast. He would get it, the turnaround time. So I always wanted to know how. I struggled with time, and I always wanted to figure out how do you produce, these good quality haircuts in this fast amount of time. And I always picked his brain. He was a good portrait artist, really good with designs, and he was the one more or less that I kind of like tried to pick his brain. And at the end of the day, I'd say, what are you doing with the side of the, parietal ridge? Like, how do you go about blending that a little bit, better than I do it? And he would he'd mentor me, basically, like you're saying. And that really, those little, they're very small little things, but they make a huge difference. And it's just those little aha moments. You're like, oh, okay. And it just makes a hell of a difference. It really does. So
it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
you said that he was like a portrait artist and stuff. Were you into art before you got into the industry?
You know what? I really, I always loved optical illusions, like, drawing shapes and coloring. I really was like super into that. And, I really wasn't like a cartoon artist, but I love that aspect of art.
It's funny that he said shapes, right?
Yeah,
because that's exactly what a barber is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, we're master of creating shape. That's that's essentially what you get
Is
into.
that why you shoot in black and white, because it shows shape better?
Yeah, my style in particular, the photography style that I do, I'm a slave to the shape of a haircut. I'm obsessed with silhouette and contour. And so for me, I always shoot my stuff against really simple backgrounds. The black and white allows for a very high contrast, which really shows off the shape for me. Like, shape is just something I'm a little bit obsessed with, and especially when I teach in my classes, it's shape and the way we see a haircut is such an important thing. How does that type of education roll out for you? Do you find you focus more on those techniques, those tips and aha moments you learned from that mentor, or do you find that you focus more on your concept of the art, because you have a little bit of both going on?
Yeah, and I also have photography as well.
Nice.
I've dipped into, and which I admire about you. You're definitely, your content is above average, absolutely.
Oh, thank you.
But it comes with also experience. But I think that personally, I like doing the classes, the one-on-one classes, the basic fundamental classes. I think those are a little bit. I get more out of giving those classes than I think the ones that are a little bit more advanced.
Are there more ahas there? Is that what it is?
I think that's what it is. There's a problem where sometimes when you start to come up and you start to build yourself as a barber or stylist, you build up bad habits, and those are sometimes the things that held me back. Those bad habits, not holding the clipper properly, bad body position. The silhouette not being square, or just not understanding face shape, head structure, that kind of thing. Those are very important to me. Little corner blending tricks, learning how to C-scoop the motion of cutting hair. Those are like basic, but if you don't have them implanted in your mind, they'll hold you back from becoming
how do you teach that? Like, how do you
barber?
Like, how do you teach like the visual part of it. That seems like, I mean, even in hairdressing or in anything, it's kind of the hardest thing to kind of grasp or to see. Like, how do you teach it, or is it just repetition is how it's taught?
Well, we have a barberology. Babyliss Pro we have our barberology programs that we've put in place, and it's a step by step. You know, we actually break everything down from head shave to proper, sanitary. Using proper sanitary techniques as far as protecting the client from getting any type of bacteria, fungus, that kind of stuff. But we also, there's a lot of technique in there as well. So, it depends. There's 101, 102, and then there's 201. So there's 3 different types of classes, but they go, it goes up in how advanced you are. Right.
So. Sure.
It's kind of like teaching common sense, when you realize just how uncommon common sense is,
Right.
and that can be a big thing, because I think, when we do start out, and some of the things that we had to learn on our own, I mean, when we were coming up, there was a bit of a dip in the education available to barbers. I feel like in the last 5 years, it's just gone through the roof, and never before has it been greater than that. And there's so many great people like yourself, and like so many of the people that are going to be here this weekend who have made it their passion to share that. Is barbering something to you that is there something about barbering to you that makes you passionate enough to spend your time teaching it? Because a lot of sacrifice and a lot of hours spent away doing these things, and a lot of people don't really appreciate that. And is there something particular that drives you into this field?
I try to do a little soul searching, which is something I think about. I'm like, I'm working really hard sometimes, but I think when you love doing what you do, it's not really as much work. It's more about, it's doing what you love. And so there is passion. I'm definitely passionate about this industry. I think more for me, it's more about advancing others and helping others not hang up those clippers. I want to help others that are struggling, overcome that, and really say, you know what? Now I have the confidence, the techniques and the tricks he showed me. Now I have the confidence to try to, become a master barber. You know what I mean? So
that's pretty cool, man.
That's.
Do you have is there someone, like when you said that, I kind of saw like you were soul searching and your eyes were kind of like, I don't know, dancing a little bit. Is there a particular person that you were thinking of? Because it looked like you were.
I mean, I have. Let me tell you, my team in regards to Babyliss for Barbers has really helped advance me to another level. When I joined when that team was united, they helped put me on another level. So I'm a true believer in hanging with good quality people. I believe that if you hang out with good quality people, eventually you're going to become high quality as well. And that's what happened to the second barbershop that I went to. They were producing good quality haircuts. Eventually, I started producing high quality haircuts.
Yeah.
And that's really, I think that's what it is. You hang around good quality people, eventually it rubs off.
I believe that too. I think you rise to the level of the people around you. You know what I mean? Every shop that I've seen, that's true. Yeah. And the thing is, you need to be part of a team that allows for you to be new.
Absolutely.
Sometimes. Because that first team that you were part of didn't allow that. They didn't allow that space for you to be new and grow into yourself. You know what I mean? They wanted you to be, experienced and talented right out of the gate.
Exactly.
And as mentors now, that we're playing that role, you need to allow for that too. You need to encourage people, and you need to encourage them to grow like that. I think that's awesome.
No, it is great. And I work at a hair salon. It's a unisex salon, but I'm also in charge of helping the stylists that are there become very good at cutting men's hair or short hair.
Can I ask you, how is that as a transition moving? Because I did the opposite. I moved from salons into barbershops. So how are you finding the transition from growing up in a barbershop as a barber into now working in a unisex environment?
So here's the thing. So 3 years into becoming a barber, I had some cousins of mine that wanted, girl cousins, and they wanted me to cut their hair. It was a little long for me, and I had no idea. I wish I could cut your hair, but it's going to be really difficult.
I got the C-scoop though.
Yeah. I can use a clipper to cut it. So not only do I have a barbering background, but I also graduated from cosmetology school as well.
Oh, word.
Yeah, so I took 9 classes. It took me a year and a half. It was like I was in jail, man, I tell you, but I got it done. So I understand both worlds. So I'm comfortable being in a salon environment. But I like unisex. Currently, I'm working at Annex Beauty and Beard. So we actually do women and we also do men. So it's a really nice atmosphere. And the girls that want to learn how to cut guys' hair or trim beards or shave, I'm there to help them, mentor them. And it's so funny because we were talking about this before. The stylist, my neighbor, right next to me, she decided she wasn't sure if she was going to be able to do men's hair, and she wrote me the message. She's like, I don't know if I can do this. I'm just going to stay doing women's hair. And I was able to coach her through it, and now you got to see this girl's Instagram. She's about to hit 10,000 followers, and her quality is good. Yeah.
Well, you can't do that, dude. What's her Instagram? Let's get some followers.
Okay, yeah, that's J Lee Blades. J Lee Blades on Instagram, guys.
So JLEE.
Jayy.
Okay.
JAYLEE Blades with a Z.
All right, we're shouting you out, J Lee Blades.
I know.
You're welcome. We'll expect a check in the mail for that.
There you go.
Well, hopefully we can push her over 10K. That would be rad, right?
That'd be
awesome,
nice.
Man.
Yeah, she's right there.
You got to be
She's
so
right
proud of that.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
It really is an honor and pleasure. So I'm very excited for her.
Now, Instagram is an interesting thing because it's really changed the landscape in barbering, hasn't it? You know what I mean? Like things have shifted around in a pretty significant amount of time, and I notice you are quite good at using Instagram to your advantage to get your message out, to get a little bit of coverage of the work that you do. I mean, that's how I found out about you. I got to tell you, your beard work is incredible.
Oh, thank you.
But tell me a little bit about your relationship to Instagram. Like, how do you find it being good or bad in the world of barbering?
Okay, Instagram is definitely, it's another job. It really is. It really is.
Preach it.
Can I get a witness up in here?
Can we get a witness?
But I love it. It's a way to really spread my wings and become recognized as one of the best in the industry. And I still feel like I'm just a squirrel trying to get that nut. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like an uphill battle to try to consistently produce content and really just be consistent. I think that's very, very it's challenging, but it's so powerful. It really is. And I've understood, in the beginning I was more about Facebook, and I stepped onto the scene a little late onto Instagram, and I feel like I should have stepped onto Instagram a little.
Coulda, woulda, right?
Yeah, but you know what? It's never too late, and I'm taking it very serious. And just this weekend alone, I think I picked up about 7,000 followers on my way when I was down in South America. So I'm still growing, and I like to see the growth. I'm not with where the guy I was with almost has 1 million followers, but I'm trying to get up there, and I will get up there. But it's really, really Instagram is. Instagram is something else. Let me tell you, it makes me feel good, and sometimes it makes me feel bad. So
there's no way around it.
It's tricky. It's tricky. It's tricky. But it's a way to get to the next level. Mm-hmm. And if you want to be recognized as one of the best, you have to take it serious. It really is.
How do you see that next level playing out? What do you see as that being?
The next level, I see the next level with having 100,000 followers. That's going to be the next level where I'll say, okay, this is. I've made it. I made it.
Till I get to 150.
Yeah, over the finish line.
Exactly. But I've been investing some money into to Instagram. I've been advertising some of my work, and really just trying to broaden out my people that find me. I'm looking at producing possibly viral videos now. Looking for different ways to really get out there because I really want to be recognized as one of the best in the industry. So I'm taking it serious, definitely.
I dig that. We got to talk about branding, bro. You've definitely kind of created a character for yourself, right? Like you see, like we met at Cosmoprof in Mid-Atlantic. We did Mid-Atlantic this year.
Yep, in Maryland.
Maryland, right? And there was no way to miss you, like with the great. I mean, kind of like this fella here, but kind of with the hat and the magician thing, and even the hairy Houdini. Dude, where'd that come up with? And walk us kind of through that journey.
Wow. Okay. So I knew I wanted to do something that kind of separated me from the rest, and I understood that it took something a little different. The first thing I tried was designs of my beard, and I rocked that for about 1.5 years, and it just really wasn't working to my advantage. So I figured,
you at that point you kind of were like, I need like a character.
I need a character. Yeah, I need something to be different. Differentiate myself, and I was thinking of a name that was very sticky, something that people once you told them once they already knew, and Houdini was something that stuck. Because one day one of my stylists, I was doing a haircut and I was doing fading the lines of someone's hair, and she tells me, she's like, the way you faded those lines was like magic, like And it just clicked to me. I was like, wow, like Houdini, you know, Harry Houdini, sticky, kind of like that. And so I ran with it. I was like, you know what? Let's try this top hat. There was Orlando premiere, I think about 3 or 4 years ago. We did a little skit where we all dressed up like Abe Lincoln. We put these really tall top hats on, and that
was with Babyliss.
This was with Babyliss, and I kind of liked it then, but I didn't stick with it. And then thinking about this whole thing with magic and Houdini, I was like, let me give this a shot. So I bought my first top hat, and I dressed up, real classic look with the tie and black and white, and I was like, wow, this is a really good look. And I tried it out for the first time, and I decided to let my beard grow a little longer instead of doing the designs. And I got really good reviews. Like, people were like, oh my God, you look so great, And I got a lot of, a lot of compliments from my team. So I was like, oh my God, if my team likes this, let me just keep this going. Mm-hmm. And here we are now. I got colored top hats now. So.
Yeah, I got to ask you about these hats, because I just, even if you take a quick scroll through, you can see just at least a dozen different hats that you have, and they're amazing. Like, all of them are amazing. I didn't even know what you were going to walk in here with today, because I was just looking through. I'm like, which one's he going to wear? Which one's he going to wear? And honestly, man, these are cool. Tell me about your hats. Like, do you search out these hats? I mean, is this a thing for you now? Are you that invested? You have like such a large market of a large kind of catalog of hats to pick from.
Yeah, I believe it or not, I had to buy like I think it was a 20-foot long rack to put them all on. So I have quite an array. It all depends.
You have to post that.
Yeah,
you have to post the rack,
man. I should post that. Alongside of the other hats that I have so many others as well. But the top hat, I think for me, is the one that's really became sticky. Mm-hmm. I tried the derbies. I didn't really, I tried those type of hats. It just didn't really work for the Houdini, branding. And so that's one of the reasons why. These hats right here, these are Italian-made hats. I found these. These are Italian-made. These are Ferrucci's. These are, they're a little expensive, but they've lasted me quite many years. I've had this one for about 2 years. And they're just, Robert Cromine.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, of course, very well.
Robert Cromines. One time, many years ago, I asked him about his house. Like, man, I love your hats. And I did some research on his hats. His hats are like $1,500 a piece. Okay, so I said, you know what? I don't mind investing into my brand. There's cheap ones that you can buy for $25, $50. I don't mind investing $300-$400 into a well-made quality hat. It just sets you apart from the rest, and that's what I'm big about. I've learned that. Running along the same path of others, you just kind of get overseen sometimes, and like you said, when you see me, it's like you can't miss me. So that's really what I want, and this is one of the many colors I have. I have about 6 different colors. The ones that I usually go to the shows with are black and white or black. But today I said, I'm not working for my company. Let me come in the blue one. I really do love these hats.
I have mad respect for you, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Because it's like, not only is it yes, you're going to decide to brand yourself, but then it's like, it's the balls to step aside too, right?
Yeah, it definitely takes.
Yeah, there's confidence to step out in a hat like that.
Yes,
it's confidence.
It really does. But
just even step out into a brand like that, right? Like this is going to be, this is the character that I am, and this is who I'm going to be, and love me or hate me. I love that, man.
It's cool.
Legitimately respect.
It's cool, and I see other people. There's other people in the industry that have taken the hat and they're rocking it. But it's something that they'll do once in a while. They don't always do. When I come out, it's always with these hats. You'll never see me anymore with just a regular bowl cap, unless I'm at a baseball game or something like that. But when I'm at a hair show,
Harry Houdini, then.
Doing a hair class, you're gonna see these definitely.
Yeah. As somebody I identify with, it's funny. I was actually this hat that I'm wearing right now, I got by accident and it's become the hat I wear all the time. I was on my way to a show. I left the house late for the flight. I was racing to the airport, and I get out of my car. I'm like, where's my hat? Where's my hat? Where's my hat? And I realize, I'm like, oh, shit, I didn't bring a hat. And so I'm like, okay, that's cool. I can do one class with that hat. That's fine. I can do one. I can do one thing. by the time I had landed in Salt Lake City, I had already researched hat stores, and I drove right from that.
You see what happens?
Right from the airport to the hat store to buy this one at like an old tack shop, and I've been wearing it ever since. I feel you on that one.
No, it's even a struggle for me when I go to other countries. I'm carrying around these top hats.
Yeah.
People are like, you carry these around all over? I'm like, yeah. You know, so it's
You
an
got like
extra
the
job.
old-fashioned like hat boxes and stuff?
You know what? I do have hat boxes. I don't really keep them in the hat boxes anymore because it's just like it's a pain. But I just roll with them. I really do. They're high quality enough that they're robust enough that they don't get messed up. You know, if you get the cheap ones from like Party City, yeah, obviously they're getting all dented up and stuff like that. But they're very robust.
So you've obviously learned a lot about building a brand for yourself.
Yes.
You know, the hard way, much like the way you learn barbering, right? You learn
Pretty
by
much.
trial and error.
Yes.
Now, I don't know about you, but I think there comes a turning point where you become a recognizable person like yourself, where people start coming up and asking you advice. Like,
Absolutely.
how do I build a brand? How do I become you? How do I get to do what you're doing? And my answer is always, don't try and become me. Become the first you. Don't become the next me. And I think that for yourself, like that's exactly what you've done. You've carved out a thing for yourself. What advice do you give to people when they're coming up asking you about how do I build a brand for myself?
Yeah. That's funny because going back to the neighbor, Jay Lee Blades, you know, she's trying to build something for herself. So the blades part of it is now that she, you know, when she takes photos, she has her blades, real badass kind of style. She's all tatted up, you know. She has her look. What I usually tell her is, you know, find something that makes you a little bit different than the rest. Instead of using just a small little blade, why not pull out a monster, you know what I mean?
Right.
A 2-foot blade, you know, a machete, you know, something like that to really just kind of push you to the next, you know, it just makes you a little different. And what I would tell others, try to find something that you feel that works best for you. You know, don't try to be somebody else. You know, don't try to mimic me. Find something that you really enjoy. Maybe, I don't know. I want to give maybe you enjoy
Whatever that is, right?
whatever it is.
Right,
You know,
right.
just find whatever it is that you can see yourself playing. You know, as a role, pretty much, and run with it. You know, see how people react to it. The thing for me is that nobody really was making fun of me. It was just people compliment me. Before I even got here, oh man, cool top hat, dude. I'm like, hey, thanks. I'm already used to it. You know,
Yeah, right.
It's a classic style that kind of looks good. I put a little twist on it. The thing for me is that I'm always trying to figure out another way to push the envelope. So I really haven't been pushing much of the magic part of it, but this year is going to be a lot more of the magic
Oh,
stuff.
you working on your hands?
Yeah, working with hands, working with
cane?
card tricks, working with different things, you know, to incorporate the hair with magic. So that's going to be the next one.
Hey, Maddie and I had a conversation last night, and like, you know, this is an entertainment business.
It
You know?
is. And now I see more of the, you know, yes, we cut hair, but we're also entertainers, you know, and that's what it is behind the chair. You have to entertain your clients. And I think a lot of my clients have been with me as long as they're with me because I entertain. I keep them feeling good. I make them laugh. And so just, you know, why not promote more of that entertainment part of it? A lot of the viral videos, entertainment,
Right.
you know, and that's what people like on Instagram as well. Now I'm starting to notice the trends, entertainment. People want to be entertained.
Love that.
I think even in person, I think as soon as you get to a show, there's a very different thing between somebody that's a technically excellent hair cutter and somebody that's a good presenter.
No, you're right.
You know, and I think that one of the things I always think about is how are they going to feel when they leave? How are you going to make these people feel about what they're watching? Not just how are they going to remember these things that you're saying, but how are they going to feel about it? And I think that's a really important thing, tying in what you can to entertain people. I think you're absolutely right. I think there's always going to be a level of edutainment.
Edutainment.
I like that one. That's good. I like that a lot.
So, Harry, just to back you up a little bit. So, what was your trip to finding Babyliss, or how did you end up being an artist for them?
Okay. So I've always been a big advocate for always learning more and more. I never stop. I'm never that complacent type of stylist that feels like I've learned it all. I love being in a mix. I love being around, you know, I feel like you guys are my extended family. I love people in the hair industry. So I like being around those shows. You know, I like coming to shows like this. And I wind up bumping into a guy named Dennis Joseph. I'm sure you know Dennis Joseph. And I watched him on stage. I watched his presentation, and I'm like, wow, man, I'd really love to be that guy. And the end of his presentation, I introduced myself. I said, man, you did a great job presenting. You know, I love that tool that you're using. And we became friends. And we became friends for about 2 years. Every time I would go to hair shows, or whenever he was in my area, I would go visit visit his classes. And he was the only educator for Babyliss Pro at the time. Well, he was the only barbering educator. There were a few others, hairstyles, but he was the only one. And I one day asked him, I said, hey, listen, I'd love to do what you do. What can I do to become a part of this company? And he explained that they were going to be doing a training shortly, and that I should put my send in my resume.
Like a training
basically.
for educators.
Yeah, and I did it. There was myself and I out of like 20 people that made it, and from there I'm currently the only one that made it out of that whole squad. So out of those two, he fell off, and I'm still the only one that's made it from that little squad. So here I am. And then they also, so I was part of a styling and barbering team.
Uh-huh.
And then they pretty much cut it in half. So now there's a barber team and a styling team.
That's so dope.
Yeah.
Again, Maddie and I were talking earlier, dude, like Babyliss in the last 5 years, man, they have just like, they've just like exploded. I mean, I guess in the best way,
Unbelievable.
Like you say, like it's been that company that's kind of been around forever. Like even I have a Volair blow dryer, and I've had like 5 of them because I freaking love those blow dryers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But even before I bought that, I was like, man, am I going to buy a Babyliss product? Like that was my feeling about it, and then I bought it, and I love it. By the way, obviously I've bought a bunch of them, and now with the clipper game and everything, man, it's just what's happened, and like they're just like,
because I mean, entering into the barber market was a real departure for them. Because I mean, I remember Babyliss from my hairdressing days, and seeing not just getting into barbering, but being a serious professional contender against some really big companies, and to come out swinging with some pretty heavyweight kids. I mean, really, it's been incredible to watch you guys and what you're doing. I have just an unending amount of respect for the people on that team and what they've done with that company. How have you played a role in that? Like, do you think that you've seen that big transition happen?
100%, 100%. I definitely owe a lot of that to Dennis Joseph. Him stepping into the tool category. He's kind of stepped away from being the educator and kind of zeroed in on tools. I think bringing him into that side of the the company has really helped excel us. Jay Majors also put a great team together. He helped excel us. And I think the whole camaraderie, as far as the team in itself, we're all passionate about what we do, but we're also passionate about the tools. And, giving us the prototypes to test out and give feedback has helped so much, really excel this Babyliss to another level. I think this is just the beginning. Right now, I've heard we're the number one in the clipper category, and we're only.
How is that possible?
How is that possible?
Like that's crazy.
Yeah,
I'm not doubting you, by the way. I'm just like, how is that?
It's possible because
how do they take over?
Like if you said so 5 years ago, I wouldn't have believed that, but I'd believe it now. Yeah.
We've done it, and we've done it very, very fast. It's possible because for a couple of different reasons. One is that our technology is brand new. A lot of these companies have been producing the same quality, same technology in their clippers, and they haven't changed. They haven't changed it in 30, 40 years, maybe even 50 years. And so we've come up with new technology, and we've also collaborated with Ferrari. So Ferrari puts our motors in our clippers, so they're very, very, very fast, very powerful, but they're also very lightweight, and they last forever. I mean, I've never had a motor ever die on me. And, I think people are starting to recognize that, you can produce higher quality haircuts in a faster amount of time more efficiently. And it just, makes your life easier. So, I think that's what's starting to happen. People are starting to recognize the difference between old technology and new technology.
Now, can we go back to showmanship for just a second? Because I'm a little fascinated by that. Because, I mean, you have the showmanship to it. And so you've obviously transitioned from just being somebody that works in a shop, behind a chair, mentoring in a small capacity, to being on stage. And now you're starting to travel around and be on stage in a number of locations. How is that transition for you? Like, how do you find that transitioning from behind a chair to on a stage in front of a bunch of people?
So I think naturally inside of me, I'm a very outgoing person. I'm not an introvert. I'm very outgoing. I love to be around people. I love people. I love to entertain. I'm naturally an entertainer. You know, I love to make people laugh. It's just who I am, you know. That's who I am. So it's not that hard for me. I think in the beginning it was a struggle because I struggled through the nerves, you know. Even sometimes when I get on stage, I'm still a little nervous, but I always believe that, you know, if you know what you're doing, there's no need to be nervous, you know. And I try to think of it that way, and it always helps me. But the transition, I don't think as an entertainer, naturally, it really wasn't much of a transition. I feel like I want to be out there. I want to entertain. I want to help people, and it just comes out naturally. I think it, you know, that's.
Do you have one show that really stands out to you at the moment? Did you ever have that moment on stage where you're like, oh man, I'm here, like I'm doing this?
My last show in Brazil, that was just I think a week ago. 750 people, you know, sold out show. I looked out and I'm like, wow, there's a lot of people here. I have to do a presentation in front of all these people. Not only did I have to do a presentation, but I had to do it with a translator. And so that's something that's, you know, I've never done before. And I'm like, wow.
So did you do that one in English or Spanish?
I did that one. I spoke in English. You know, I spoke in English.
That can be very hard. That can be hard when you're funny. Because jokes don't translate that.
Could that be it? Yeah, I just said, you know what, I'm going to do the best I can. You know, I am a bilingual speaker, so that's another thing that also helps me, and that's one of the reasons why they've sent me out to South America. But yeah, that's one show that definitely stuck out to me. It turned out to be a huge success. They want me to come back next year.
Wow.
Congratulations.
So yeah, I was really happy about that. And shout out to the people down in Brazil from Barber Week. Yeah.
That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, man. So it's been quite a journey. I feel like I'm just beginning, you know. So there's many more, you know, it's many more shows to go.
Is there one in particular you have your sights on? Like if you're at the beginning now, where do you feel like, where are you heading? What's next?
What's next? Well, I know what's next, but I don't know what it's going to be like. You know, these shows out in South America are so different than here in the United States.
How?
It's just the type of people. Like, it's just a different breed of people. They're all kind, all loving, but I feel like when you put me into a different element with people that are culturally different, it's a whole nother world. You know, I think my site that I see that I would love to go, you know, take part in is maybe somewhere in Spain. You know, I think that would be
Madrid. Here I come.
Yeah, that would be a place I'd love to go to.
World domination, then.
Yeah, something like that. You know, and it's something that I can possibly make my way to because I can use my bilingual skills and speak to them in Spanish. Who knows, you know? But, you know, the quality of barbers in Brazil, you have to know, guys, are very, very good.
Bro, I see them all the time,
Yeah.
man.
They're very,
on
very
the Instagrams.
good. You know,
it's exceptional work that they do.
And I think about it, you know, before on stage, I'm like, man, I see the level of work these people are doing. What am I going to teach these people? You know, so I thought about that show and I said, you know what, this one's going to be more inspiration on how to really just not stay, you know, at one level. Try to raise the bar and do what you do. And this, I'm going to show you different techniques on how, you know, you should do things to elevate yourselves.
Right.
And I kind of use that as more of the show, you know. So it turned out to be good. At the end of the show, I wound up waving the Brazilian flag. They all went crazy. It was awesome. So.
Playing to the crowd.
Yeah, we call that playing to the crowd.
Yeah.
Playing to the crowd. So, Matt, I want to go back a little bit. Like Harry said that like he has a mantra. Like when he talks himself up on stage, right?
Yeah.
Like if he gets those nerves, and we all get them, you know, like he has a mantra. Do you have a mantra that you use, or
Man, I
or
get
you
nervous.
just don't get nervous anymore?
I do. I get nervous every time. I think people think because I do this, I've been doing this a really long time now, and I've done it in. I think the biggest crowd I've been in front of is about 3,500 people, and that.
Nice.
I mean, it's impossible to not be nervous. You know what I mean? I don't get butterflies. I get these elephants, and I know. You know, I've talked to Rob about this too because he makes himself sick. You know, he's so
Right.
gets incredible stage fright, and I mean, I'd be lying if I said I didn't have that a bit. So there's this thing that I started doing on my very first show that I ever did, which was in Chicago at the ABS, and I was backstage waiting to go out, and they were playing this music, and
house music.
everybody welcome out Matty Conrad, and it's just like, and I'm in the back, and I'm like doing the worst white man dancing you've ever seen in your life, like worse than my dad, like comically bad dancing, and my model who was about to come out, and she's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I don't know, but it's helping." and she's don't,
Listen, you got what you gotta do.
don't do that in public ever again. She
Oh
says.
my gosh.
And then I cut her hair off.
There you go. That's what she gets. Yeah. There you go.
C-scoop.
C-scoop technique.
C-scoop.
Yeah.
C-scoop came out that day. But yeah, it's
so you still do your white boy dance?
You know, yeah. When the nerves come in, I try and do something that breaks the tension and makes either somebody close to me laugh by being a clown, and I think that's where a lot of my personality on stage comes from. I deflect a lot of nerves with humor. You know, I find that as soon as I get some people laughing or with me, then I feel like they're on my side a little bit. I feel like they're cheering for me instead of against me, you know? And I think you're right. Different crowds and different cultures, man, they can be really strange to adjust to. And in Japan, when we went out there in Tokyo, it's considered rude to make any noise or anything when you're sitting watching somebody. So here I am telling jokes through a translator, and it's crickets out in the crowd. And you're just like, I don't know how I'm going to get through this next hour.
Oh, my gosh. I'd have been in my head the whole time.
Yeah,
you know?
That's a tricky one.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but wait a second. Nobody warned you before that?
Well, no. I think they wanted to see how I was going to do.
Learn the hard way there.
Oh, man. You do that, though. But, I mean, Brazil, I've always wanted to go to Brazil. It looks like a lot of fun. It looked like you guys had a great time.
Yeah, no, that definitely. I had an opportunity to work with Josh LaMonica.
Mm-hmm.
He was a great guy. He was just a really super duper guy. Real soft spoken,
right?
But like his techniques are just amazing. You know, he was just a real cool dude to hang out with. I was traveling with Rob the Original, an amazing portrait artist.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he's a good friend.
We traveled. Before that, we were in Peru. So we flew from Peru to Brazil. So we were together for a while, and I got to pick his brain on how to work his social media and how he operates. So, it's I cannot stress enough, like, being around these people, whether it's one little tip, I mean, it really helps elevate you. I mean,
you talk about like being different, like Rob the Original, which is a great name for him, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
Rob
he
the
is
Original.
one of a kind for sure.
Like even like the horse stuff he's been doing, and like, I mean, everything that he does is just.
Man, he made a Versace logo
I
on the back of a
know.
horse's ass. Unbelievable.
I mean, I got to tell you, I'm watching that video and I'm like,
man.
how long did that take? And like, is there any fear that horse is going to kick him in the face?
that's so funny. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they sedate him. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think they mind it. It's like a massage to them, I think.
Yeah, maybe.
But it's creative and it's different. It's something that other people are not doing. And the fact that he can get paid from it is even crazier. So, they just flew him out to do that. I think he's currently there in California right now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean, it's just different. He knows how to differentiate himself as well, because he says there's a lot of people doing, even on my own team, that are doing the same thing that everybody else is doing. The key is to kind of differentiate yourself and do something that's still in the lane, but that sets you apart. And so,
But that's really, it's just a difficult nuance, right? It's to kind of find what that is.
It is.
Because you can go overboard too, and then you lose everything.
Yeah, I think staying in your own lane is the thing. Carving out your own path, you know what I mean? Because the difficulty of being in someone else's lane is you're always comparing yourself to them. You're always comparing yourself to someone who set out and did it before you, and you're never going to live up to that. In your own lane, there's no one to compare yourself to except for who you were yesterday. And I think that's very important. And I think that when you step out into creating a brand like you have for yourself, and you've created a thing where your goal is to be different, then who else can you compare yourself to?
Right,
you know
absolutely.
what I mean?
And that's why I like the way you said before, what I'm saying? Don't try to be me, try to find yourself, you know what I mean? Try to find your own character. And that's really, really the key, because you do find a lot of people that are trying to be like others, and at the end of the day, it never works. So
Just falls flat.
And sometimes even people lose respect for you. You're like, wait, you're trying to be Hawk the Barber, doing the same signs as Hawk the Barber? It's like, come on,
come on.
So
come on now.
It's tricky. It's definitely tricky.
It's becoming a tough marketplace too, because I see guys, like Bruzel obviously carved it out. Rob and Lane, Scorm, they created a really obvious situation for themselves that a lot of people have emulated. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of big names in our industry now that you're right are falling victim to that as there becomes more and more barbers. You know what I mean? Now we're seeing a resurgence in barbering again, which I think is awesome. Because when I started, barbering wasn't very cool, and now it's become incredibly cool. And there's so many personalities inside of it that you can kind of attach to or relate to, which I think is really cool. I want to, like, with all of the opportunities for travel now and education, now that barbering's growing so big, how do you balance out staying with your clientele? How do you balance taking out that and being on the road and taking care of all those
Great
things?
question.
Yeah, that's another challenge. I'm lucky enough to have very loyal clients who will wait for me now. I mean, I think what happened in the past is, since, you know, my clients are very educated, and somebody spoke to me, a client was talking to another client yesterday about me, and he was saying that, you know, he does a haircut so good that, you know, I know that when I go somewhere else, it's not as good. Like, they're very well educated. They know what's not good, what's good. And so by now they're willing to wait. If it's 2 weeks, I'm gone, they're gonna wait, you know. And if they do decide to go and get a service, it's usually just a shape up the back of the neck, and they'll wait. You know, I have a very loyal clientele that, you know, I've been raising their prices, and they still stick with me. So, you know,
That's how you know they're loyal.
yeah, you
That's
know,
it,
you're
right?
gonna lose. You're gonna lose some, but the really loyal ones are gonna stay. And you know, I'm lucky enough to have a really good clientele. That's very. I mean, I have no worries about them ever leaving. You know, unless I start screwing up and start taking off for a month, I could see that. You know,
Right.
but I'm still very loyal to them. I got off the plane at 6 a.m. I was at the salon at 9 a.m, and I worked from 9 to 9. I was beat up, man. But you know what?
Yeah, that's a rough day.
I do it for
Is
the
that flying in from
clients.
Brazil?
I'm sorry?
Where were you flying in
I
from?
flew, it was a 9-hour flight from Brazil, yeah. Wow. So I'm very dedicated to my clients, and they know that. They know I'll go the extra mile. I'll stay a little extra late, you know, just to accommodate them, because, you know, I do believe in, you know, my clients.
I know what we've had this conversation with Presley before. I think we did it online. Let me think, on air. But what she does that I think is really cool, she does a monthly newsletter, because she recognized two things. Is one is that, you know, she always has to tell her clients, not tell her, but you know, remind them that, hey, I'm here for you. You know, this is all for you. But they also like to live in her travel schedule. They kind of dig that, you know, and then they want to know questions, stuff like that. So she does a monthly newsletter, which I just thought is a kind of a cool way. It's almost marketing, but not quite.
That's actually why I started Instagram in the first place. I mean, Instagram, when I started, was still a new thing, and nobody really knew what it was. It was kind of like a digital picture book. You can only post pictures you took in the app, and it wasn't a marketing thing at that point. I started it because I just wanted to keep people up to date on what was going on in my life when I was getting a chance to go out and do all this stuff. When my clients were starting to feel like, well, how come he's not ever taking my appointments? They're like, oh, look where he is. You know, or my
He's in
family
Brazil.
who I never see. Yeah, he's in Brazil. But it became, I think it escalated and became a different thing now. But when I first started that's really the whole motivation, was just to share what was going on in my life with the people that were back home, you know, and trying to stay connected to them as I was more and more away from them. Do you think that's a challenge for you, like staying connected to your family and your friends? I mean, trying to balance out everything, you know, it's hard not to let those things suffer. How do you deal with that?
You know, it's yeah. Again, I'm gonna say it. These are challenging things. To be able to balance life and work is just really, really tricky. And sometimes things are gonna suffer, you know. And you know, I'm lucky enough to have someone at home who really supports me, and she understands, you know, when I'm out there, that I'm doing what I love, and I'm doing what I do because I want to help others. And I have a son also that understands, you know, that I'm trying to help, you know, better others. So he gets the message. Sometimes do I speak with him when I'm away every day? No, you know, so it gets a little tricky. But I try to do the best I can. And when I'm with him, when I'm with her, I'm trying to, you know, spend good quality time. You know, do I sometimes, you know, do an Instagram post at the dinner table? Yes, but you know what? They understand what I'm doing. They know I'm an entrepreneur. They know I'm trying to excel. And these are people that kind of, they know what I'm trying to do, you know, so that instead of getting upset with me, they understand. So it's tricky.
We again, like our third podcast, we spoke to Miss America, and we were talking about her.
Miss America. Wow. Okay.
So we were talking to her about her year, you know, her throne year or whatever. I don't know what the hell they
This
call
is
it.
the last.
No. This is from 2011. She was actually the youngest Miss America of all time.
Wow.
Teresa Scanlon. Definitely look her up, and
Okay.
she's amazing. She's a really, really sweet person. But
Interesting.
she said on the podcast, you know, she had so much to do, and that her family always got the worst side of her in that year. You know, and as we've gotten busier, and as we've grown, you know, I certainly, those words are in my head all the time. You know, like you try to, same, you know, I try to fight it and try to be like, again, when you're there in the room, make sure that you're there in the room. But I fail at that way more than I succeed at that. And it's definitely a struggle, and it's definitely like in my future, it's something that I'm hoping to get better at.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I think my girlfriend is a saint of a human being to put up with my schedule and all that is going on, you know. And I just couldn't do this without her support. You know what I mean? Having a supportive family at home is everything. You know, and I think that's a really important part because it is a giving job that we do. You know, I think a lot of people look at education when they say, hey, I want to do this. They think, oh, well, you're a rock star. You're out with, you know, this whole celebrity type life. But it's not that at all, is it? I mean, it really is a servant job. We're giving our time. We're sacrificing time with our families. We're spending so much of our lives giving to others. Like you were saying, you know, something that can hopefully lift them up and hopefully prop up the rest of the industry too. We want this thing to be long-standing. We want there to be pride and dignity in the industry well beyond us. Absolutely. You know, so I applaud you for that, my man.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you. And, you know, it's really important. Again, I got to say it, you know, the people that you're around really makes a difference. Because, you know, if you hang around negative people that don't promote you, that constantly criticizing you, it's gonna take a toll.
It gets heavy, man.
So I definitely owe a lot of my success to, you know, my family definitely, you know, definitely.
That's awesome. Hey, so as we're getting wrapped up, where can people find you? And I mean, give out your Instagram and stuff like that, and then, you know, what's coming up in the next year.
Okay, so currently right now I just signed a lease on a studio, so I'm going to be opening up a small studio. I think I'm going to call it Magic Barber. We'll see. I haven't. It's not set in stone, but I did sign the lease, so I'll be starting that small studio. That's going to be the next venture. Currently right now I'm renting a chair, and so that's going to be something that you're going to see. I'm going to be able to produce a lot of content because I'll have a studio in the actual studio.
Like a photography studio.
Photography studio as well as producing video as well. So that's going to help excel me because I'm all about growing. I will be going to Bolivia next month. That's going to be interesting for me. Yeah. Wow. So that I have another trip planned for Brazil, all with Babyliss Pro.
You should take Maddie with you.
Yeah, you know, I haven't been to Brazil, so I could hide in one of those hats. I bet you.
You'd be surprised the searches they do over there.
They look roomy.
We could make some magic happen if it's possible. Yeah,
I'm gonna pull Maddie out of the hat.
David Copperfield level.
That'd be something else. You know, you could definitely expect more magic from me this year. There's gonna be a lot more magic. My Instagram will be growing a lot more this year.
What's your Instagram handle so people can find you?
My Instagram is Houdini Style, and you know I thought of this name Houdini Style because it incorporates styling with the magic. But it's tricky because a lot of people don't know how to spell it. Some people think it's spelled with a W, but it's spelled with an H. It's HOUDINISTYLE. And that's Houdini Style on Instagram. I'm the hair magician. I show people how to, magically make the lines disappear. So that's, that's like,
I like that.
I dig that a lot.
But, you're just going to see a lot more. I mean, those are going to be the main things I'm going to be focusing on. So it'll be education, the new studio, producing content, and magic. I think that's going to be something that you'll see me up on another level, producing a lot more viral videos.
Love it.
And you'll see me at the hair shows. I'll still keep coming to hair shows, still keep supporting, others, and that's pretty much it. If I could ever help you guys, especially you or you, I'm a giver.
Especially me, Corey. Especially me.
That's right. I love the styling line. I love the styling line.
I appreciate you. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that a lot.
Mr. Harry Houdini.
Yes.
This has been rad, dude. I really liked the conversation, and I thought we got a lot of good information out of there.
That's cool.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you
on your day off.
Yes, this is my day off. It's never really a day off, but here we are at this podcast. It's my day off. Yeah.
Hey, so there it is. Hey, this is a message that we've been trying to bring, I don't know, for the last couple months, actually since we started the podcast. Hey, so if you like the podcast or if you find that it's useful, please leave us a review, a 5-star review on iTunes. Leave us a rating and a review. But if you don't like it, forget about it. Yeah, totally forget about this message. We also want to thank Sarah and Blaine from Pretty Gritty. Sarah and Blaine, they are a band out of Portland, Oregon, and we just want to thank them very much for allowing us to use their song, Pleased to Meet You, on our podcast. That's cool. I think you can find their music on iTunes. Peace and hair grease.